Until the last tree is cut, the last fish is eaten, the last lake is poisoned, I think we the human beings will not realize that we cannot eat money. I would not say good afternoon or good evening. I'd say prefer speaking greetings. And I think so we all might also sooner or later will have a tradition of speaking greetings, because I think that soon we will lose the beauty of enjoying the different time span of a day, that is a morning, noon or evening. And you will agree to me, because already we have lost that beauty of enjoying a seasonal gap of having winter and only winter, having summer and beautiful summer, and then enjoying those days of monsoon. Because now in a single day we have many say privilege, but we have that disaster of having all the seasons in a single day. When I talked with Harsh, he told me to share the experiences, the events which we have in our NGO. But then I thought that we all know what kind of problems we all are facing. We all know what kind of solutions we can have to that. Still, the things are happening. So I thought, let in a small time span discuss with you one small psychology termed into 3 letters of a word, ACT. A-C-T. In that, A stands for the change in the attitude. And in that I would like to quote an example. But before I quote that particular example, why environment we are focusing a lot? Because when you see, we are living in a trend of, you can say some jargonic words like globalization, liberalization, privatization, backward integration, forward integration, technological exploitation and blah blah blah, which are bringing so many problems to us. And almost problems are such that it are created by others. But when from that you take environment, that environment is such a type of problem which is created by us. The beauty is it can be solved by us. And the another value added thing is, if we solve it, it's not going just to stop its negative effect to us, but it's going to help us to improvise our lifestyle even better than what we live today. And that's why focusing on environment is very important. Now coming back to that point A, that is letter A, that is a change in attitude. Let me share with you one small example. There was a small group of people, let us say 100 of people, were passing by in one tunnel, which was a dark tunnel, like not exactly the way we are sitting, but even darker than that. When they were passing by, right, they started feeling some, there were some small tiny stones kind of thing which was pinching them in their legs. So let us bifurcate that group of people into 3 parts. The very first, you might think after listening to me that very intelligent, was a small group of people who were walking and the stones were pinching to them, but they were trying to save themselves, walking slowly, doing something to ensure that those stones don't pinch them more. They passed away. Then came the second group, which saw that the stones were again pinching to them, so they did a bit by, you can say, segregating stones on both the sides, so that at least they don't face the hurdle. And when they were doing that, the very first group, which very intelligently went out without doing nothing, was thinking, see how intelligent we are, and what the fools are they? They are trying to scatter the stones here and there. The second group also passed away. Then came the third group, right? And they started picking up the stones. Few picked up some hundreds of stones with an intention that let us try to reduce the pain which is going to happen to the next group to come, and few took much more, ensuring that let us ensure that after we go, whoever comes never faces this particular issue. And when the third group was trying to take, some taking less stones, some taking more stones, the first two groups were seeing how intelligent we are, what foolish work they are doing of taking the stones. All the 3 troops traveled in the tunnel, and at last they went out in a light. And what happened? The The one who were the happiest inside the tunnel were the saddest outside the tunnel. Because what happened, friends? You might have even heard this story. When they went outside, the third troop, which gathered the small articles or small pieces of stones, considering them as stones, actually were not stones but were diamonds. And hereby I want to tell you that whenever from now onwards you go out of this tunnel in the bright, and when you are inspired to take any action for environment, don't fall in the first troop, don't also fall in the second troop, try to fall on the third troop, and each and every action you take is that small piece of stone for others, but it's a diamond for the youth, for the generation, for the times to come in future. That's what the first A I want to give to you, that have a different perception, a different perspective, a different attitude when it comes to do a bit about the environment. The second is C, stands for change. And ma'am earlier told the 3 R's. I would just like to add one more. That is, to the extent possible, the very first R, if we try, is to replace the things, right, which are damaging the environment. Then if that replacement is not possible, let us try to reduce and reuse those things. And when you are reusing those things, try to ensure that you reuse to the extent that it becomes renewable and you start renewing that particular things. And at this point of time, I'd like to quote one thing. Mahatma Gandhi one time told that we have enough resources to meet our each individual's needs, but we don't have resources to meet someone single person's greed. That's where you should curtail, or we all should curtail, using the things so recklessly, so unintelligently, so selfishly that we want to use for self but does not want to use for others. And the last T of ACT is the tiny steps which we can take in our day-to-day life. And you can say that when you're taking that tiny steps, almost times we live in a reactive mode. But the time has came that apart from being reactive, now it's a time we should be proactive, and we should take even those small steps which you can take in this limited time. So just to sum up my speech, not sharing any particular experiences, as the one who introduced told that about social tracker, we are in our NGO, we are taking n number of steps, right, to ensure that youth gets active, youth becomes aware of the same. And to the last, I would like to say that whenever you want to venture into this field of being an environmentalist, right, or starting taking care of environment, I would like to give you 3 I's. I, right, the very first is ignorance. Try to remove the ignorance and try to be aware of that in which ways you are unknowingly trying to damage the environment. Once you start doing that, many things earlier speakers told, many things the next upcoming speakers will say, try to, second I is inculcate, try to inculcate that into your lifestyle. And when it comes to inculcating it, you can have a different lifestyle. If you are techno savvy, you can go for green tech. Just search this word on Google, green tech. How much the level of technology you use, try to create, save that much energy on another hand. If you are keen and interesting, try to diversify your portfolio of part into green investing. That is, try to invest in those companies which are venturing into green sector or into lesser environment hazardous sector. So by just adopting a good lifestyle, green tech, green investing, you can do a lot. And last I is influence. That is, whatever small step you take, try to convey to public at large, so that if you convey to 100, at least if 10 changes, your purpose is achieved. So A stands for attitude, C stands for change, and T stands for tiny steps. And lastly, to brief up, I can say that Still, environment is in our hand. Let us see to it that it does not end. Second, let us try to create environment for environment. As such, being a human being, I should never say this, but seeing the scenario, it is very important to say this because we don't have any option B for environment. And all these things can happen not just by listening to this kind of talks, not just by participating in this kind of events, but by inculcating whatever is being told into our day-to-day life. That is what I mean to say. If we, from today, if we start having this kind of environmental measures religiously, rituously, sentimentally, emotionally, and trying to make it a habit in a day to come, then I'm sure that the way of issues which people are forecasting may not happen. Thank you.